Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm excited to have us here today, being World Engineering Day and the first day of this ICT training brought to you by the Association of Professional Women Engineers of Nigeria, APWEN Port Harcourt chapter, and the Society of Petroleum Engineers, SP section. Young professionals. This event was born out of the realization that we needed to empower our women in ICT training skills. So I'll reserve the rest of my statement for the period of remarks. I'm just going to share the program that will guide us through today's event. So we'll start with the national prayer for our opening prayer, and then I will give the proper remarks, and we'll have the citation of today's trainer, and then we'll enter the training session proper, allow some time for question and answers, and then we'll have a review exercise to test how much we have learned today. Finally, we'll have a participant appreciate the team that put this together. So this is what it is. The session is meant to last for 2.5 hours, 2 hours for the training proper, and then 30 minutes for the review exercise. So let's start as we unmute our mics to take the opening prayer, which is the third stanza of the national anthem. So let's read it together. 1 to go. Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so without further ado, I will just continue with my remarks. I was saying that the program was born out of the need to train us, especially us women. But for this program, we also welcome our male counterparts that have come to share the knowledge, because we also stand for STEM for all, as it were. We did not quite enjoy the fact that our members who are pursuing different things, like are in school studying for our students or postgraduate students, or even professionals, we have technical training sessions from time to time, and we find that not many of us are quite confident with using these packages or with making presentations. So that was what gave birth to the idea of having this kind of training. So I want to encourage us to maximize this time. If we went to a training facility, we know that we are going to pay reasonably for this. And the reason we try to use in-house trainers is so that, since it's not a business, we can give ourselves as much knowledge as we can, whereas a business person will want to reserve some knowledge for you to pay. So that's the idea behind seeing the chairman of the chapter being a trainer. Okay, so as much as possible, nothing is held back. The only limiting constraint can be time, but outside time, we are giving all that we can give. Okay, so I'm now going to call on Engineer Blessing. She's still on the call. Blessing to please take the citation of the speaker.
Okay. I believe the citation will be placed on the screen. I can't yet see it. Confirm that you can see it from your own end.
Somebody please confirm because I've shared it now.
I can see it.
So that means it's my network.
Okay. Is it better now?
Mm-mm. It's
Okay,
not.
so let me call someone else. So Ginika, please, can you take the citation of the speaker?
Um, Good afternoon. Confirm you can hear me.
Positive.
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Okay. Engineer Dr. Ibiye Darifa Amafebia is a senior lecturer in the Department of Agricultural and Environmental Engineering, University. She holds a BTech in Agricultural and Environmental Engineering from the aforementioned institution, as well as an MSc in Environmental Engineering from Cranfield University, United Kingdom. She also has a PhD in Environmental Engineering from the River State University. Dr. Amafabia is a registered engineer and has over 10 years' experience in the academic sector. She is a corporate member of the Nigeria Society of Engineers, where she has served in various capacities in the Port Harcourt branch. She is also a corporate member of the Nigeria Institute of Environmental Engineers and the Association of Professional Women Engineers of Nigeria, APWEN, where she is presently the chairman of the Port Harcourt chapter. Dr. Amafabia is happily married to engineer Dr. Director Michelle Amafabia, and they are blessed with two lovely children, Tamino Goma and Tamino Nengie Fori. Apologies for my murdering the names, but thank you, everyone, and welcome, Engineer BA, Engineer Dr. EBA. Thank you for being here as a speaker.
Thank you so much, Ginika, for that. So the next item we have is the training proper. This is the word interface, MS Word interface. And I'm going to start with the introduction to the interface. So I'll employ you to move with my mouse. I didn't prepare any slides because I want us to go as we go. Now, the top blue bar where you see, for me here, can you see my screen? Just somebody confirm that we are together. You can see my mouse, you can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am. I can see it.
Thank you very much. So where my mouse is, where you see the name of your document, is what is called the title bar. So that shows the title of your document. And then this entire rectangle under it that has so many things is called a ribbon. If you look at the bottom right corner of the ribbon, you'd see an arrow up. If you click on that arrow up, it will hide the ribbon. Okay? And then if you want to show the ribbon, you just click on any of these things here, which are called tabs. So you see tabs as under ribbon, and they will open. Now, to keep the tab open, because we had closed it, you see that a pin is what is showing here. When it was open, it was an arrow to say you can close it. Now that we closed it and we click the tab to open it, it's a pin that is showing. That is to say that to keep it open, if you click the pin, then it will not close again. It will remain in position. So that is what the ribbon is. These things here you see: file, home, insert, design, layout, references, mailings, review, view. NitroPo is an add-in, so you may not have it on your own, but view is where the standard one ends. They are called tabs. And in each tab, you have groups. So here you have clipboard group, you have font group, you have paragraph group, you have styles group, and you have editing group. If you open any other tab, you find groups of tools that are relevant to that tab. So that is the interface, the MS Word interface. Now we are going to jump into the home tab, which is like the default tab that is open whenever you open MS Word. And then the first group you have in the tab is the clipboard group. And there you see paste, you see cut, you see copy, you see format painter. I'm very sure that most of us, thank God for smartphones, are familiar with cut, copy, and paste. But what you may be learning that will be a new thing from this clipboard is format painter. Okay, so I have here activity 1, which is for us to practice the home tab, and I just put random text here. So when you double click on a word, it highlights the word or it selects the word. If you triple click, it selects the paragraph. So double clicking you find that cut and copy that were grayed out are now active. That means that when they were gray, if you copy, nothing will happen. But now that they are black, that means they are active. So if we cut now, if I try cut completely removes the word. Okay, so you see, having cut, it has removed that first V. To bring it back, I'll paste. So what this means is that if you wrote something somewhere and you don't want it there again, you want it in a new position, you just cut it from that previous position and paste it onto a new position. The other one there is copy. Copy is used to replicate. So if I want to replicate this first paragraph, I can use copy, come to where I want to put it, and paste it. Okay, so sorry. Because I'm used to the shortcut keys, I just paste with my keyboard. So if you click paste, it will paste. But if you look under the paste, there is a small arrow. If you click on that arrow, you will see paste options. There's keep source formatting. That means that where you're copying it from, if you like how it is there, or whatever property that was attached to it there. When you come to paste, you choose keep source formatting so that it will not change that setting. Or you merge formatting. I've taken it from that previous document. I want it to fall in line with what I'm doing in this current document. Or you just take the text. Taking just text means that whatever formatting was on that text you've copied in the previous document, it will not come. It will just stay where it is, and it's only the letters. So for instance, if you copied from a table, when you bring it to your new document and you choose text only, it's only the text that is in that table that will be pasted into your second document, not the table. Now, the part where we may not be familiar with is, if I had made this paragraph bold, okay, bold font, and now that I have some other thing like it here, if I want to transfer this bold format to this other one, all I need to do is to come here, click in the paragraph I want to transfer the format from, go to Format Painter, and check that it is now, the cursor is now showing this way, this paintbrush way. That means you know that Format Painter is active. Now, when you come to select the entire paragraph, you just start from the beginning, hold down your left key on your mouse while dragging it. If you're using a laptop, the key on the left pad, then you now move your hand over the mouse pad on the laptop. So I'll just take that again. At any point, if you have questions, just unmute yourself and ask. So if I do Format Painter and I come here and I highlight the entire paragraph, you see that the bold has transferred to this one. Another kind of application is, especially where I use it the most, in numbering, because sometimes when you use automatic numberings, things can get out of alignment from what your initial numbering is. So if I had, for instance, here now that I have editing in bullet points, if I want to transfer these bullet points, I want to make activity 1 to be under these bullet points, I come to one of the bullets, I go to Format Painter, and then I come and click on that line, and you find that it applies that formatting to that place I've clicked. So that's the work of that thing you see there, Format Painter. Okay. Then we'll go on to fonts. Here we see the font group. First of all, you see that drop down, and then you see a whole list of different styles of fonts. So this is where you choose your font type. Most common font type that we use, I am very comfortable with using Times New Romance. So my text is in Times New Romance. Most of the Word documents, the default font type is Calibri, either Calibri heading or Calibri body. Some people like to use Arial. So, but there are a whole lot of fonts if you check here. And the name of the font is written in how the font looks. So if you want to do decorative writing, you can just scroll down, look for any of the fonts that fit what you want to create, and then you select that font. And when you do so, anything you type would look like what you saw in the font name. Here, we're not changing font, but let me just, for practice sake, let me just show us. Let's say we are using, let me use the Upwell font, Old English Text. Old English Text. This is the Upwell title font. You see now that that is what it now looks like. That is the font type that is Old English Text. Then the other one is font size. Font size. So here you can choose how big your text is or how small. Notice that as I'm moving, nothing is happening. That's because I've not selected any text that I want to apply it to. But if I come and select a text, you find that as I'm moving, the text is showing me a preview of what whatever number I choose will look like. So if you want to apply any change to fonts group, you have to highlight where you want to apply the change to and then apply. So we are using font 12. Let me just increase it to font 14. That's font size 14. The rest is you can either make it bold, italicize for I, underline. There are other ones, different types of line that you can use to underline. Make your choice. This one is if you want to cross the text. I don't want to cross it, so let me undo that. If you want to make it a subscript, so for the subscript, let me do a typical thing with subscripts. For instance, when we are writing chemical formula, so we have something like methane, that is CH4. So when you write the 4, you can just highlight the 4 alone, and then you choose subscript, and it becomes subscripted. If you don't want the subscript, undo subscript by clicking it again, and then do superscript. It becomes raised to power, superscripted. Okay, other things you have there, if you don't want to use the drop down for font size, these two letters, capital letter A that is bigger than capital letter A that is small, it's also to adjust font size. So if I do this, if I highlight this and click on the higher one, it starts to increase the font size. If I want to reduce it, I click on the smaller one. Okay. Or maybe I was typing before I finished typing and then I realized that I want everything I typed to be in capital. I like to use this for titles because by default, your MS Word is saved to not correct text or highlight text that is in capitals if you spell it wrongly. So if I'm typing very fast, I like to type in normal sentence case first and be sure that nothing is underlined to tell me whether I've made a spelling error or a grammar error before I come here. So if I want the entire paragraph, I come here and you see that it has different options. Sentence case is that the first letter, just as you have your first letter in the sentence, should be capital. Lowercase is for if you want everything to be in lowercase. Uppercase, which is what I want to do, everything becomes in uppercase. Capitalize each word. So if it's a title that you just want the first letters of each word to be in capital, to do that, and everything there, all the words will now start with capital. Toggle case, you can see what it looks like. We don't need it. So I'll just skip that. Okay, then if you want to change the color of your text, you use this text color function. That will change it. By default is red here. But if you open it with the arrow beside it, you see different other colors that you can choose from. And then if you want to come back to black, you just go to automatic and choose that. Then the next one beside it is to change the background color of the area you've highlighted. So if you've seen this, that's what they use it. That's where they go and do it. Or you can add some art to your text. Not showing very well now because my text is small, but for your everyday use, this is also not something you come to very frequently. So that's for the font group. The next group is the paragraph group. Okay. And here you just see a lot of lines. If you move your mouse to each of them, you will see what their function is. So this first one is bullets. That's where you click and you have a bulleted list. The next one is numbering. If you click that one, you have a numbered list. The numbered list can either be Roman numerals, Arabic numerals, or alphabets. If you use the arrow beside it, you will see different options, different numbering options. Okay. And then the next one is if you want to have multi-level numbering. You see how they look. You want to have chapter 1 on the major line, 1.1 on a bit indented from the major one. You use the multi-line numbering function. Then you have this other one, these two here. They are used to automatically move things from standard numbering to multi-line numbering. So if I had editing here and I want to move it to a different level of numbering, I will keep my mouse in front of editing and I move inwards. If I move inwards, you see that it has gone to a different level of numbering. Here you had a solid dot. Here you have a hollow dot to show that this is a sub item under styles. I'll just undo what I did because that's not what I want to do, but just to demonstrate that. Or the other thing is I did undo. Instead of doing undo, let me use it to show the reverse. If you want to promote this editing back to here, you click on this other one that goes back, decrease indent, and it comes back to the same group. This one is for sorting. If you have a list, I don't have that example here, so I'll just explain what it is for. You want to arrange the list in alphabetical order. You use this function. Here is where how you arrange your borders. So here we have align left. That means everything on the left will be on a straight line, but the right-hand side would not necessarily be on a straight line. That's what we have for this first paragraph. Here we have centered. Let me just use this as an example. So if you have a heading and you want it centered, after typing, you just select it. come and click on this centered. Here is for align right. So everything on the right will be on a straight line, and then the left will not be on a straight line. And then the one I like the most, justify. Justify makes both edges very smooth. So if you look at it now, the left side is smooth, the right side is smooth. The next thing you have here is line spacing. So this gives you spaces according to the numbers you choose. So if I do single line spacing, that's 1.0. You have 1.15, you have 1.5, you have 2, which 2 is double line spacing, and so on. Then again, you have spacing between paragraphs. And now, I don't like how close this paragraph is to this methane. I can just put my mouse there, click on it. Once my cursor is blinking there, I come here, I add space before paragraph, and it will create a space. I don't like how methane is directly under the first paragraph. I can come to that top paragraph, go back to here, add space after paragraph, and it will add the space. If you click this now, you see that's the space it added. If you double click this, you see that's the space it added. So with this, you see that your documents become formatted very neatly. It's not scattered, okay? The other one is if you want to add color. So anywhere you see a paintbrush is to add color. So I'm not interested in adding color, so I'll just keep all of those things. The next group we have in the home tab is styles. This is also not very commonly used, but if you want to have a document that is in chapters or in sections that you would want to have a table of contents for, then you come to styles. If I open the drop down, you see different styles. The default is normal. And then if you want to have heading 1 is like your standard heading. And then you have heading 2. Each of them, I don't want to go deep into it because of time, so we'll cover other things. But at your convenience, you can just click on each of them and see what is inside. If I made this heading 1, for instance, because you see that this heading 1 text is gold, that's why it has changed my heading 1 to gold. If I don't want it to be gold, I will go and change it back to automatic, change the font style back to font type back to what I want, change the font size back to what I want, make it bold the way I want. But you can still edit those things under the style, but that's advanced. So what I've done here is like the basic one that you can use. But once you put the heading, you see this small envelope or triangle here. It's a heading. When we get to a certain table of contents, we'll do more of this, and then you'll see how it generates table of contents. You have finished your thesis. You've written 200 pages of thesis, and then you had a lot of citations in your work, and you were not italicizing etal. And your supervisors now tell you that you have to go and italicize etal. You now start thinking, how do I go through 200 and something pages to be looking for all my etal citations? You don't have to do that. You just come to replace. When you click on replace, you see this find and replace dialog box. So all you do here, because there's no etal here, it won't show you what type etal. And then you come to replace with etal, and you italicize this etal. So if you click on Control I, it makes it italics. When you finish, you can either do it one by one by saying replace one by one, or you do replace all, and it will surprise you how it will give you the feedback that whatever number, if there were 50 citations that had etal that were not italicized, this will now italicize all 50 of them, because what you've instructed them to do is look for wherever there is etal that is not italicized and replace it with the italicized version. Replace all. Okay, so you see the feedback you get, all done. We made 0 replacements because there is no etal in this document. So if there was etal, it would have made all of the replacements. So that's what you can do with find and replace. The rest is select, which is what you're already doing with your mouse. Okay, I know that I'm fast though, whereas you're supposed to be following me as I'm going. But let me pause and ask if we got what, if we're following me. Did we quite follow? Unmute and just answer or send an emoji. Is there any aspect you want me to repeat before I go to the next tab?
Hello, ma. Good afternoon, ma.
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay. Okay, so ma, I got up to, or I followed up to the point of replace. I understand it, but I'm trying to what's it called now? I'm trying to, is it italize it, right? Italize my word on the replace icon, but it's not working. So I don't know if you can just go through that.
What you do, just do it now as we are talking.
Okay.
Hold down the control key on your keyboard and press I. After
Okay.
you've selected it, have you selected the text you want to italicize?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold down control and press I. You see italic under it, as I had.
Okay. Front italic. Mine is showing.
Can you just share your screen? I think I enabled multiple screen sharing. So share your screen so that I will see what you're doing.
Okay,
Let me
ma'am.
be.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Let me try to share it.
Okay, let me just stop mine so that it'll be easier for you. Let me stop mine. Oh yeah,
Okay.
share your screen now. Okay, I can see your screen.
Okay.
Now do
Okay.
the replace.
Okay. So I'm going to replace. So I want to replace supervised. So I'm holding on the control and the I. Okay. Okay.
Just do that
My
and click I.
yes, ma.
Did
I
you not
have.
see? Yes, did you see under it font italic?
Yes, ma. So I should click on replace all or replace.
If depends on what you want. If it's just one you want to replace, you do replace. If it's everything you want to replace, then you can do replace all, and it will replace all. Have you done
Okay.
so?
Okay. Yes, ma. I have. Thank you very much.
Yes. So just
That's it.
stop your share. Let me share
All
mine.
right.
I'm just
Thank you,
realizing
ma.
that you couldn't see my dialog box.
Okay. Thank you, ma.
All right. Thank you for that feedback. It's very important to have. The next tab is the insert tab. Okay, let me scroll down. So insert tab. Here we have pages group. Excuse me. We have tables group. We have illustrations, adding, media, links, comments, header, footer, text. So because of time, I'll just look at the things that are most commonly used and are applicable. I'll start with cover page. Under the pages group, you see cover page. If you click on the arrow beside it, you see different kinds of cover page design. So you just scroll and pick any one you like. So if I pick, for instance, this one, click on it, what has happened is that it has added a cover page to the document. You see, when we started, this was our first page, but now we have a cover page added. So you now come and type the title of your cover and what they write here, company name, company address. Now, because they say company name, company address does not necessarily mean that it must be company name, company address. You can delete these placeholders and type what it is you want. So if you want to put your name and maybe your own address, you just highlight it, type your name, EBA, type your address, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So basically you can edit it anyhow you want, and you have a document that has a beautiful cover. Okay, so that's how you add cover page. The other one is blank page. If you want to add blank page, maybe my work stopped here and I want to stop here and I want a new page. I'll just do blank page and it will just create a new blank page in between where my mouse is. So that's the blank page, and then activity 2 continued. So that's how you do blank page. I'll just undo that because I don't need it now. And then the next there is page break. This one, I don't even know. I don't think I want to teach us that one because it's a very tricky one. I'll say don't go there until you master it. Because if you use page break and you want to do new pages, if you are not very good, you have a lot of headache. So let's just leave that one. The next common one we'll meet is tables. Okay, so you want to insert a table. Let's now do the practice for the inserting tables. So we want to insert a table. First of all, especially if you're starting a new page or a new document, I've not found a way around it. So I would always advise you to click a line, click one line, so that if you want to write text or if you want to continue further, you can use that line to keep pressing your enter to move. Because if you put the table first, from my own experience, I've not found a way to type anything else that is not in the table. So I'll put this, even though this is not the beginning of a new page, a new document rather. So table header is like saying table 1. I like using colon, MSW training guide. So that's that. I click enter. And I've said here, insert a 4x6 table. You can do it in 2 ways. You can just click on the table, but because I find that my dialog boxes are not showing in the screen share, let me use the arrow one. So it's 4x6. If you look on top of this table thing, you see that as I move the cursor, it's giving me the dimension of table I'm creating. So you just move like that until you get to 4x6 table. Okay, so that means it's a table with 6 rows and 4 columns. So you have inserted a table successfully. Now you find that once we inserted a table, it just moved us to, it created a new tab or tab group, design and layout. So the design is where you change the feature of the table. So if you come to this table styles group, you see different styles of tables, different styles. Okay, So you choose the one you like. Different styles. For those of us that are, for instance, in RSU doing projects, they will tell you that the format for table is these 3 lines. It's not banded. If you come to view, you can remove banded rows, or you go to the table design and remove banded rows. You see that banded rows is checked. If you uncheck it, it becomes a plain table. Because I'm using Office 2016, these lines are still showing, but they're not showing as solid lines, they are showing as broken dot lines, which means that if I print, it will just be these top 2 lines and the bottom line that will show. So for those doing, for RSU students, this is the format for your table. But basically, if you want to edit or change style or design your table, you click in the table, come here, do anything, see where you add borders. If you want to add plenty borders, bottom border, top border, or remove border. Then there's another one, layouts. The layout of the table has multiple functions as well. So basically, if you go to any area, just move your mouse to it. You will see the function and it will help tell you what you want to do, if that can do it. There's one important thing that it's not common, but most of the time that's because when you need it, you don't know that there's a function that can do it. There are sometimes you're typing a table and one line is on the end of one page and the other line of the same row is in the beginning of a new page, and it becomes a headache if you're like me that want everything to look fine. So what you can do, you can click on the beginning of that last line and do split table. If you split table, you find that it will just cut the table so that this other top part is on one page and I'm starting this other part on the new page. That way, for me, it looks decent. Okay. So we are on insert tab. I think I've talked a lot on tables. Let's leave tables and go to pictures. The next thing there is pictures. So you go to click on where you want the picture to be. Click on pictures. I don't know if you're seeing my dialog box in the share now, but if you're not seeing, if you click on pictures, you see a dialog box, and then you go to the folder. By default, it will move you to your pictures folder. But if you don't want that, you go to the folder where you have your picture and select the picture and click on insert. And then it brings the picture. Again, when the picture comes, you see that there's an extra tab added and it's format. So here you can choose different things. Okay. If I want the picture to be in a very fine placeholder, I can come and choose. You see now the border has changed to that white I chose, or you manually add color to the border. Let me not do a lot, let it not confuse us. And then if you want to crop the picture, if you click on crop, you see these changes. So as you move to the aspects of the picture you want to remove, it removes, and then you go back and click on crop to apply the changes. If you want to resize it, these are there, these rulers, if I should call them that, can either come down to reduce the size, or you click on the upper arrows to increase the size. So that's how you insert picture. Come back to insert tab, or you go online. For if you choose insert online pictures, if you click this one, it will take you online, so you have to have data. The other thing that we would meet a lot is shapes. So when you click on shapes, you see different things ranging from text box to line to arrow to all sorts of different shapes. So if you're working, for instance, I want to make a flow chart. I take this oval one that is usually start. Then you click inside the shape and you start typing start. Okay. And then I want to link the start to an operation that is rectangular. I come again, I insert shapes. I choose a rectangle. You see that it's the cursor changes to the cross. That means it's telling you to draw. Let me write first step. First step. Now I want to link the two together. I can now come and say insert shapes, arrow down. And then I come here and I do arrow down. And you see the arrow. This is so narrow. When I move to these dots, you see that the mouse will change to arrow. That is telling you can expand. Okay? And if you're like me too, that is everything must be perfect. You can move either with your arrows on the keyboard or you drag, hold it and drag, click and drag to position it. So that is what shapes do for you. Okay? Time is not really a friend. So another thing that is interesting here is smart art. Although you will see some of those in the PowerPoint one too. Most of the time we do this in PowerPoint, not in.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yes,
I'm
go
so
ahead.
sorry to draw you back. I didn't see how you increased the size of the arrow. You know, initially
Okay,
came as yeah.
when you click on it, you see these dots on the 6 dots on the edges like that. If you move your mouse, can you see what I'm showing you, the dots? If you click on the arrow,
No. Okay.
if you're in front of your laptop, you'll be doing what I'm doing. So when you move, I don't know why the share doesn't take this anyway, just taking the background document. So, but if you insert your arrow, click on it, it will show you these borders that have dots on each edges. Those dots are there for resizing purposes. So if you move your mouse to any of the dots, you see that the cursor turns to an arrow. So when it does that, you just click and drag on your mouse to either increase the size or reduce the size. So you click and
And if
drag.
I don't know if my own app or system is not having any way to increase or decrease the arrow.
Click on the
It's okay,
arrow
let's
first.
just yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you have to click on the arrow first before it will respond. Okay, so the next interesting part, even though most of this one you do on PowerPoint, is smart art. If you click on smart art, you're not even seeing what I have. But if you follow me and click on your own, you will see the dialog box that comes out. So you have all, you have list, you have process, you have cycle, you have hierarchy, and so on. So if you choose process, I think I have one on this document, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I deleted it. Okay, I think I deleted it so that we'll do it together. So I chose process. And okay. And you see this. To add text now, you can either go directly and add text, or you come here. There's a small arrow there. You open it and you add your text and apply, and it will apply. So let me do the one you can see. So I will say human evolution. You start from baby, and then you become a youth, and then you become an elderly. Okay? So the same thing with the shapes. You see the dots at the edges of the box around the shape. They are for resizing. So I can resize, either make it bigger or smaller, depending on what space I want it to occupy. And then you see here, there are different styles and colors. So once you click on that smart art formatting tools come up. So design for different colors, different orientations. If you want it 3D, if you want it solid, whatever design you want to use, you use. Okay. Then formatting is still, you want to add a border, you want to add outline, and what have you. Like I said before, Now that you've got this introduction, just move your mouse to any of the items. You will see the function that it is used for, and then you apply. As you play around, you will get to become more familiar with it. So we have inserted table, we've inserted picture, we've inserted shapes, we've inserted smart arts. Let's proceed. I'll leave chat for Excel because we'll do that in Excel. These add-ins are not our business. If you want to add hyperlink, I'll still leave that one because that's for advanced use. You don't use it regularly. If you want to insert comments, I'll leave that one for review. Then the other aspect that we use a lot, you see here header. When you click on header, it automatically also brings footer. Then page number. So I'll just click on header. If you click on the arrow, you see whether you just want one that will be on this side, or you want this, or you want that, or just a header. You see that it moves us to the top outside the margin of the paper. Okay, and it says type here. So I want to write up when Port Harcourt. Okay, I don't like the font size, but let me leave it. I want it centered. You find that when you're working in the header or the footer, main document is grayed out. Anything you're trying to type in the main document will not work. That's to say that the header and footer are active. When you're done with that, just come to the main document and double click, and then the main document will become active for you to type, and then the header and footer will be grayed out. And mind you, when you are putting header and footer, what it means is that all the pages of that document will have that header and footer. So you see Apple PH here. If I go to the next page, Apple PH and so on. Okay, so that's how header and footer works. The next thing is insert page numbers. So if you come and click on the arrow, it will ask you where do you want it, top of page, bottom of page, page margin. So let's just do top of page, and then what position? Let me do this far right position. So once I do that, you will find that you now have page numbers on your documents. So if it's a document that you especially need to put table of contents, maybe it's a report, you want people to be able to easily navigate pages, or your thesis, that's how you put your page numbers. You can either put it at the top or the bottom. Text box, I'll leave it for PowerPoint. Then the other one that we as engineers will use a lot, when I did my NSE registration exam, that was one of the things that they tested us on, which is your ability to use equation editor to type equations. So you find that under inserts, the far right, you have equations, you have symbols. Symbols are just different types of symbols you meet. I won't go into that. Most of them are already in equations. So if you click in equation, you will see type equation here. Okay, Patience, please go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Okay, sorry, let me know before you go very far. Talking about page numbers, sometimes some documents you have page numbers that have the first four, the ones that have your maybe citation and the rest that are in italics, and then it now continues with normal alphabet, normal numbers from 1 to. So is there, can you walk us through that? Because I sometimes have issues with separating those.
Okay, so I'm just going to tell you that if I want to walk you through that, it's going to take us much longer. So that can be either a private one, because it has to do with when you go to page numbers, you have formatting, and that's like a whole new school that can take us up to 30 minutes. So, but like I said, with this introduction that I've done for you, further studies now, all you need either Google or YouTube. You just go there, see how you can now use those tabs there, to split, because I talked about page break. You need to do page break to section your document so that it is seeing the preliminary pages in italics and then the normal pages in numerals. But if you haven't got that knowledge yet, then you just have to do things manually, which will now be that you do your preliminary pages separately, you do your main work separately, and then when you have your table of contents, you now manually add the page numbers. I know that can be cumbersome, but what I would rather advise is use this background knowledge that we have given you, then use Google to help you do the rest. And then you will find that you get it done. Are
Okay,
you fine with that?
Yes, I am.
So when you click on the equation tool there, it comes to your document and say type equation here. So I'll just use the simple quadratic formula to demonstrate that. And you will notice that once any object that you introduce into your document comes, a tab comes for it. So this is equation design. What is our quadratic formula? So we have x is equal to, if I come to design, you see the various tools that I can use to get my equation done. So the quadratic formula is a fraction. So I start with fraction. If I click in the arrow for fraction, you now see different styles of fraction. Let me say I want this style. And then I come here and we know that it is square root. So you come to where you see square root is called radical here. Click on the arrow. You see the square root sign there. And then it gives you square root. Then the first thing there, you have b squared, which is a script function. You come to script and then choose the square script, that means superscript. So now that I have that, I'll now type my b squared. Can move with your arrows. Then we have plus or minus. You come to this symbols group. The first thing there is plus or minus. And then we have, what's the formula? 4ac, right? No, b square minus 4ac, not plus or minus. Plus or minus was supposed to be outside it. So b square minus 4ac, right? All over 2a. My brain is still sharp. So the plus or minus was supposed to be out here. So that's the quadratic formula. And you find that when you use the equation editor, things come out better. If I wanted to do this with regular text, you can try it by yourself. Me, I don't want my work to look funny. You see that this is more presentable than trying to do this with normal text. So using equations is something you will definitely meet as an engineering personnel, especially if you're a student, undergrad or postgrad. So that is where we'll close it on insert tab, and then we'll go to the next tab, design tab. For the design tab, you hardly go. In fact, if not that I'm preparing for this training, I almost don't remember that there is a tab called design tab. But when I opened it, to see the kinds of things that are there that we can need. Number one, watermark. You see some documents that have watermark. You find it in the design tab. So I have watermark here. There's an arrow. What we have here, for instance, is confidential. If you go down, you see custom watermark. If you click on that one, you can type what you want to write. And then when you enter it, it will show. So just to demonstrate, I'll use the existing one. So if you can see it, you will see now that there's a watermark called confidential on my documents. Then the next thing, recently I had cause to ask myself, can't I change from white to another color? Especially because, when you print your letter-headed paper, you tend to print it on Concro paper And most of the time we are using a yellow hue of Concro paper. So if I'm sending e-copy of my letterheaded paper, why can't it resemble the main print? And back then I tried to search, and when I say back then, just a couple of weeks ago, I couldn't find where to do it. But as I was preparing for this training, I saw that this is where you come under design. Remember I said I didn't even remember that there's something called design. So if you apply any color here, you choose any color, you find that it is changing the background color. So with this, you can choose what color your document is, and it will fly. Then the next thing here that we'll use is page borders. So most of us go to business center to get this done. You finished your term paper. You want to design the cover. You want your page border. You come to design tab, you do page border, you have this dialog box open. The default is none, so that's where you see none is highlighted. If I want it to be whatever it is, when I was trying to demonstrate, I did this, but let's do afresh. Let me choose box, that is the next one, under none. And then you have here style. If you want your line, if you want it line and you want your line to be thicker or any type of line, you scroll down and choose what you want. Color is set to automatic. If you want a different color, you choose. But if you want art, you don't even need to bother yourself about color, width, or style of line. You just come straight to art, and you have different art options here. If you choose your art, you see the preview that it gives to you. And then because I have a cover page that is designed, I don't want to scatter that cover page. So I'm going to say this section so that it will apply it only to the section of my page that is open. And I say okay. And then you find that I have put borders to the documents. Okay. So that's all that I'm going to touch on design tab. If the size of the pictures are too big, if you go to the dialog box, you will see where to reduce the size. See where you reduce size. So you do, let me do 24. Okay. So it makes it thinner. Then the next place that we are likely to meet a lot is layouts. Under layouts, you can change your margin. So default margin is 2.54 cm on all sides. If maybe you've written your letter and two lines have moved from the first page to the second page, but you want your letter to just be one page, you come to margin and adjust the margin. Either you choose an existing one, there's normal, there's narrow, there's moderate, or you do custom margins under it. So if you click on custom margin, it gives you the opportunity to type what your own dimensions are, so that you now see if that meets your purpose, and then you reduce your document from that 2 pages that is spilling to 1 page. Then the next thing is orientation. You have copied a table and paste on your documents, and the table's border is extending to the far right because the table is wider than the portrait screen. And I want to accommodate that table. So what I can do, I can come, if you look at that page setup group where they wrote page setup, to your far right of that group, there's a small box with an arrow that is pointing outwards. If you click on it, it will give you a dialog box. I can realize that you can't see my dialog box, but it gives you a dialog box. There now, I can choose landscape, and then there's the option of apply to. If I click on the arrow there and I say this point forward, what that will do for me is that wherever my cursor was will turn to landscape, and then the pages before it will remain as portrait. So let's give it a try. So here, what is happening is that I'm not sure that I chose the location I wanted it to be. Or the other thing is section. Section helps you, but let me choose the location I want it to be. I want this insert page. No, this that won't work because everything above and before it is a numbered list, so it will take them as the same section. Let me go to that side. I had a paragraph, put the paragraph on a new page, and hopefully be able to demonstrate it the way you see it. So now we are here, and let me repeat that. So now that I've solved that problem, before is because everything there was a numbered list, so they are the same type of data. That's why it saw the whole document as the same. So now that I've put it as a paragraph, you can see now that with this, that sheet that has that your table, you can now make that sheet to be landscape, even if the rest of the document is portrait. The same reason I couldn't change that. Let me see if I use from this activity too. Now I'm on this new page. You come and continue with your portrait following the same method. Come to portrait, do this point forward, and then OK. And then the continuing pages remain as portraits. So this is what the business center people do for you when they have your documents put in that form. Okay. The other one is size, paper size. This my own, for instance, default is letter, but most of our papers come in A4. So if you go to the size, you not to A4 so that it will print correctly. We are no longer in the season of letter. Then you have columns. Okay, you see some text that you have like newspapers, the text columns. It is this function that you use as column. Let me just demonstrate this. Let me make this paragraph to be in 2 columns. So I select the entire paragraph. If it's your entire work, you don't need to select anything. You just choose the columns. But since I don't want everything, I select the section I want to make columns. Click on columns and make it 2 columns. And you just find that it divides it into 2. If you want 3, you choose and make 3 columns. It divides it into 3. So that's what that does. Then for those of us that are academics, that some of your journals will tell you that you should have line numbers. Your manuscript should have line numbers. This is also where you find line numbers. Okay. So you have non-continuous, different options basically. So I'll just click on line numbers and click on continuous. And then it will put, because I highlighted this text, so it's taking it that I just want it to apply here. So you see that it has numbered each line. So if you're writing a manuscript and they ask for line numbers, just come to your layer tab. Under your page setup group, you'll find line numbers. Hyphenation is not common. I'm going to leave that. What you have in the paragraph group is how you can resize your indents. As you increase the number there, it means your indents will be increasing. So I think that's all we commonly use for layouts. And then the next one is references tab. Let me see what the guide says that I should do there. Okay, so when we started, I talked about table of contents. This is where you add table of contents. But before you can have table of contents, you should have had headings in your work. So if I'm inserting table of contents in this work here now, it is only one entry that will be there, and that is the title of the document, because that's the only place I applied the heading style, if you remember, when we went to home and did heading 1. Okay, so I'll just use that one to demonstrate table of contents. So you have automatic table that will look like this, automatic table that will look like this, automatic table that will look like this. Under it, you have more tables from office.com. That means more styles. Custom table of contents. Remove table of contents. Save selection to gallery. So if you've created a custom one and you want to use that one whenever you are coming, you save it to the gallery so that it will now show here as one of the table of content styles that is needed. Custom allows you to work. So that person, patient that asked about splitting Roman numerals from Arabic numerals, you can try custom table of contents. I personally, there are a couple of these automations in Word that have not really worked well for me. Yes, if it's a simple document, I am able to use the table of content function. But for my thesis, especially because you have the way we are, for my school, we are asked to do it, where you are having a cover page, also having its entry. It was quite tricky for me to do. So I tend to use the manual style. I'm fast, that's why. But if you're not fast, you can use custom table to do things manually and still retain your automation, so that if you make any change within your document and you come and say update table, it will still automate it based on what you've done. Or if your document is such that these patterns that you have there can serve your purpose, great, you use them. So, but that's table of contents. So let me just insert one. Because of this selection that I've not removed. So see what is happening here. This is my table of contents. It's in the middle of the work because there's a cover page. So now this is page 2 where it's coming in. The MS Word training guide was what I made a heading. All these other ones you're seeing here, the reason they showed here is because they are the review exercise questions that I asked ChatGPT to help me prepare. So because ChatGPT has made headings, it has captured those headings and made it into the table of contents. So now if I go to page 3, I will see the question that asks you to insert a table. So, but this is how the automatic insertion of table of contents works. So the next thing, when you make any change in your document, you just come and update table and it will reflect the change. The next thing that is of importance here is referencing. For those of us that are into academic writing. So if you come here, style, you see different referencing styles. So default here is upper style. You have Chicago and plenty other. Look at Harvard here and a couple more styles, sorry. So we are using upper style. So I'll retain upper. Then you come here, you see insert citation. If you click on it, you will see add new source. So what that means is you've downloaded your literature. If you click add new source, it asks you type of source, journal article, language is default. You are asked for the author, and then if you look under, you see what the author name format should be. As I clicked on that author, put surname, comma, first name and middle name. Surname, comma, first name and middle name. Separate them with colon. That's what the example is telling you to do. Okay? And then you put your titles. Unfortunately, you can't see dialog box. So, but you look at the titles. Always check this show all bibliography fields so that as many fields as you can fill from your documents, fill them. That will make your reference more complete. So I'll just close this and go back to our work. For the purpose of this training, I had typed my name as a citation, as a literature source. So let me just come somewhere here and put insert citation. It's asking me, this is the only option. If I had put five of them will show. If I had put more, it will give you a link to access the whole thing. So if I choose this, it has shown the citation, Amafabia 2026, because it's a single author under upper. So if I had put 4 authors for this entry, it would have done Amafabia et al. Then when you want the references, okay, you just come here. Oops. Where did I find that reference to now? Let's just use the bibliography one first. When I remember the reference one, I'm going to bring it on to us. Okay, so this is the bibliography. Because for this journal, hypothetical journal paper, I didn't fill all the fields. It did not have volume number and issue number. So what I filled was author name, year, title of document, name of journal, and pages. If I had filled volume and issue number, you would have seen the volume and issue number. Okay. Then caption is also something we use. So I'll just show us how it works. Okay, even though like I said earlier, these automations have not fully worked for me, so I like to avoid them and do my thing the way I can control. But what this caption means is that your tables, instead of manually just typing your table and trying to populate your list of table yourself, if you have the table like we have it, where's our table now? Okay, we had our table. The document is becoming heavy. Moving is now getting cumbersome. So now, instead of just coming here and typing this one manually, I will now come to insert caption. Now I want it to be table. Okay, so this one is just talking about figures rather than tables. So let me leave tables and come to the figure. Cancel. So this is the figure I want to label. And then I'm saying insert caption. You see here is figure 1. Okay, so the label is figure. If you want it, all right, I've seen why. So if you want a figure, you have it there. If you want an equation, you have it there. If you want a table, you have it there. Okay. So let's do the table. Let me change it to table and let's do the table. Unfortunately, you can't see the dialog boxes. I wish that I could change that. But if you click on insert caption, the dialog box that appears under labels, use the arrow and you will find equation, figure, and table. So once you've changed to table, you see that it's the example there caption is table 1. Okay. And then if you're okay with how it reads, like for me now, I'm okay with table 1. I now say okay. And then it will put table 1 in my text. I come and put my table 1. MSW training guide. The font size is too small for me, so I'm going to increase the font size to 12 so that it is big enough. What this means now is that if I want to prepare my list of tables, I will just come and put insert list of tables. This one should now change to list of tables. Okay, if I want to label this figure automatically, I do the same thing, but this time around I change the table, I change the label to table, to figures rather, figure, and you see figure 1. Okay, so figure 1 has shown. I increase the font size to 12 so we can see it. Okay, so that's for how you can add those and automate that as well. I think that's the ones that will commonly meet under the references tab. But before I proceed, let me point something out, because the first time I used automated references, I also gave up on it, because when I wanted to cite just year, it was giving me some problem. Or for instance, for those of us that are using APA as the rule in our universities, the APA itself strictly says that if there are 3 authors, the first time you mention that source, you should list out all 3 names. It is subsequently that you now do a tal for 3 names. But in our university, they say no, once it's more than 2 authors, do a tal. So if I'm automating my referencing like this, how can I now change it from the 3 names to a tal? So recently I discovered that when you come to the arrow beside the citation and you choose convert citation to static text, if you click on that, it's no longer looking like a boxed text. You can now edit it anyhow you want. Ama Fabian Degun. And it will still remain as an automated entry, such that if I come and update my bibliography, update citation and bibliography, it will change. Okay, for some reason, this one is not changing again. I'll check why and get back to you, because when I did it for that my paper, it did change. So if there's something that I've not remembered, when I remember, me out. Okay, so the next tab there is mailing tab. This is also not a commonly used tab. But for those of us that work in offices where we produce a lot of letters, you're giving the same letters to a lot of people. This tab should be your friend. Okay? But it's also a bit tricky. I know how to use this for letters, and part of the reason why you got your emails late this morning was that I was trying to use Google to see if I can, rather than send to everybody's email in the same email, if I can pick each individual the way that I can pick in letters. And it looks like the sure way is if you're using Office 365, so your Word is linked to Outlook. Other than that, all the Gmail functions that gave me hope, I tried and they didn't work. And I was being referred to Access. For me, I know a bit of Access, but this training is not covering Access. So I'll just demonstrate letters and leave emails. But if you want to learn further, like I said, Google, YouTube can guide you. So for this one, I'm going to use a different document, the email document that I prepared. So let me just stop sharing this document and share the email one. Okay, so we have this document that was the email that was sent to us as registered participants. And we want to send it to the 53 people that were registered in the first batch that were sent this morning. So what I was trying to look for actually that took me that long time was how to automate it, which proved to be very tricky because even when I was taught, you have to be manually adding recipients. Now, this is usually grayed out. It's just because I've put a recipient list. That's why you're seeing it active. So you come to select recipients. You type a new list if you do not have a list before. If you look at the dialog box that shows, you see different headings there. Okay. For me, because all I wanted to do this email that I sent to us was our names and our email addresses. The existing list that I used, I formatted that table. So I used a document that I saved. Yeah, I don't even save it now. .csv file. I'll start again. Use an existing list. Okay. So existing list is there. We start mail merge. I want to send letters, not email messages this time. And I've typed the content of my letter. Now I come here and I insert a placeholder. So you see insert merge fields. I have name and close. Now, what this means is that on that list that I've selected that has 52 names, once I say finish and merge, which is the last thing there in the finish group, it will produce 52 letters, each of the letters having each participant name and containing the same content. Edit individual documents. Use all record. So it has produced a new document. Dear Peace Ife Sinachi Okafor. Next page, let me use page down. Next page, Dear Adaosila. Can we see what's happening? Dear Afa, the same content, Dear Blessing. So if you're working in a place where you produce letters, the same content of letter to a lot of people, you use this to get the letters. For instance, as a professional association now, that you write to a lot of companies, the same contents, you can just type the list of your recipient companies and then use mail merge to produce, even if it's 100 letters, 200 letters, you just use their name placeholder. And then once you say merge, it will just create that number of pages. And then you can go there and start to send each person their own. But if your organization has 365, so your Outlook is functional, you, instead of choosing letters in this start mail merge, instead of using letters, you use email messages, and then you add the email addresses to the population of your recipients table. What will now happen is when you come to the finish mail merge, instead of doing edit individual documents, you will just do send the email and it will send to individual members. Yes, Ginika.
Hi, thanks, ma'am. I'm just curious, in what format do you type the email addresses? In similar, we see it in bulk SMS, right? You can put phone numbers with a comma and it will send to all of them. But in this situation, is it going to be like on an Excel sheet or just on Word? And how do you separate the email addresses for this to be able to send to multiple? I'm just trying
Yes,
to understand that part.
that's, like I said, that's what took me 2 hours this morning. When I learned this function, we had to manually type the entries, and you can do that only for few people. You can actually add it automatically, like I said, with access, but we're not learning access now. So if you go to access, you put but even the access, I saw that you cannot type multiple, which makes this quite cumbersome if you're dealing with plenty. All that I spent those 2 hours in was trying to see how I can just export my table. When I go online, I see that there's the possibility of automating it, even Gmail. But there's always a gap. Maybe because I was rushing, since it's this morning I was doing it. So maybe after now, I can, for my own personal knowledge, also take my time and probe further. But it gives you the impression that, okay, Google Sheets, for instance, has a mail merge function. And then I know the mail merge function in MS Word, but I'm not seeing any icon there in Google Sheets that suggests that I can use it for mail merge. So if I'm not doing mail merge there, even when I export it to Excel as a CSV, comma, delineated document that I can put on Google Contacts and send email the way I sent now. But I don't want to send it the way that all the emails are showing on everybody's email. That's why I try to go and search for other ways to do it. And it's telling me that even in that Gmail, when I go to my recipients bar, I'm supposed to see an icon or a dialog box that will make me choose mail merge. But I'm not seeing that in my own version of Gmail. I don't know if there are advanced versions where it has come up. But in the version that is on my laptop now, it's not there. So if it's there, then you can now do the mail merge. In that case, now instead of typing the person, you just insert the placeholder to say, I want email to show there. I want phone number to show there. I want whatever it is to show there. So once you now say merge, it will now pick each of those comma separated values just as you have in your bulk SMS, separating with commas. It will pick each of those values and send the same message to all of them. So yes, this is the equivalent of that bulk SMS thing, but the fact that I have to manually add my entries is the one that just makes it cumbersome. If it's few people, yes, I can manually add. Like this morning now, I have to manually add all 53 contacts and it still didn't work. So I just went back to good old, save the contacts, export it to Gmail, and then send to everybody like that. So just probe further and you can learn access. So once you create it in the database, I actually exported my Excel file to Access database, but it was still a challenge to connect it to the word mail merge. So I abandoned that route too. So long story short, I have not found how to automatically put the data into this MS Word mail merge format such that it can fly. It had to be manually entered, unfortunately. Okay, so the next thing is review tab. Again, for many people that, well, this one, most of us, we may not meet it because even for lecturers, not many of us know this function. I got to know it when I worked with somebody that was computer savvy. She was a lecturer too, though, where you track changes, you leave comments, and then you leave comments, you track changes. Now, to insert a comment where you want to talk about, let's say this is my student's work that he sent to me, and the way he has written this first paragraph is not okay. I can now come here and use new comments, and it will bring out that flyer, and I say whatever it is I want to tell him. I come here, that's it. When he receives these documents, he opens it, he will see my comments. If I didn't just leave comment and I say, okay, this word endeavor here is spelled like European endeavor, I want to change it to American spelling, but I want the person to see what I did. I will now come and click on track changes. When I click on track changes, it means that whatever change I make to these documents, it will be shown that I made change. So if I delete endeavor now, oh no, I'm deleting something else. If I delete endeavor, delete, you see that there's a marker that has come up. If I want to show you what that is telling you, you see that I've crossed the endeavor, and then I write the new endeavor as ENDEAVOR, so that it's not underlined again. So when the person sees it, or when you receive that kind of document that has track changes, what you have to do is you come to where the change is, and then you see here, accept or reject. If the correction is what you don't agree with, you can reject the change, and then it will return it to what was there before. It will return it to the endeavors that was there before. But if you want to correct it, let me track change again, delete, and then endeavor. If you want to accept it, you click accept, and then you see that the other endeavor has gone. It is the new endeavor that is remaining. So that's how, if your lecturer or whoever is giving you the reviewed work has done in text editing and they want you to see where they made those edits, so they track the changes they made, you now, all you need to do is go to those markups, either accept the edit or you reject the edit. If it's a voluminous document, when you've accepted one, you go to next. You see previous, you see next. Or if it's somebody that it's an authority that you must accept all these changes and you don't want to go one by one, you just go to the arrow down there and choose accept all changes. But I don't recommend this because it means that you wouldn't have noticed what change was made, which is what will help you learn. But if it's not something serious, you just accept all changes and then all the edits that were made will be applied. The other thing you can find in review tab is spelling and grammar. If you use this one, it will check all the documents and bring up any spelling error or grammar error. Like I said, when you move your mouse, you see the function. Thesaurus will give you words, meaning of words, word counts. I want to know how many words. By default, at the bottom panel of the Word document, you will see the number of words. But peradventure, you still want to count, you have it there. Smart lookup, you want to look up something on the spot, and so on. Language, you want to translate. Okay, so those are the key things you meet in the review tab. The next one is view. For view, again, you don't come here very often, but a couple of things you can do here. If you are using somebody's system and the arrow, the ruler on the top and side panes are not there, just know that ruler is unchecked under view tab. So once you go and check ruler, it will bring out those rulers. If you check grid lines, you have grid lines. If you check navigation pane, it brings it out for you. So you have headings, you have pages, you have search results. If you don't want it, you close it here or you uncheck it. So as I've closed it, it has unchecked. You want to view one page per time, you want to view multiple pages per time, that's a function. That's why it's good to be practicing or to be using. Don't say, I don't know it very well, so let me go and give it out. Because it will interest you to note that by volunteering to do this training, while preparing the presentation for this view, I came to see this split and I was curious. So I moved my arrow and it says, see two sections of your document at the same time. And do you know how many times I've suffered, especially now that I'm trying to bring out journal articles from my PhD thesis that is 280 pages. And I'm working on one section that needs me to look at information from the beginning or another section. So this split now, I realize, helps me do that. So if I put my cursor here, for instance, being a hands-on training, and I say split, it just splits the document into two. So I can go to the beginning side and keep it where I want to be seeing that thing that I want to make reference to. While on the other bottom side, I'm working on the section that I want to actually work on. The same documents, but now I have the option of viewing two parts of that document at the same time. So I'm not trying to scroll through 70-something pages up, come down, type one thing. Maybe, for instance, you're looking at references. Yes, now this speaks to us lecturers too. When you want to check whether the references cited are in the reference list, you can use the main document on the top part of the split and then the reference list at the bottom part of the split. And then you toggle and you navigate. So, ladies and gentlemen, on this call, we have done MS Word in 2 hours by this. So I'm just going to now pause here and let's have question and answers.
Hi, good afternoon again.
Good
Not more
afternoon.
like but like I just want to thank you for this presentation. I came into this presentation with I know MS Word. I've been using MS Word since primary, secondary school, university days, right? So I should know MS Word. But with the way the industry is and the way that ICT has evolved, I don't think we realize the changes Microsoft has been from when it was Windows, whatever, to what we are using now. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of automations, and I'll just taking down the new things I've learned for just this session on Word alone. And I have almost 15 different topics that I have not used before. And I've been using Word for decades, like at least up to 2 decades. Okay. So I really appreciate this. I think there's still a lot more we can learn. And I think this is just for us to go back and practice, right? Most of the ones that I've seen for the first time, I keep struggling just to get indents correct. And that was sorted out in the first two topics you spoke about. So thank you a lot. I learned. I don't know about others, but I really did learn a lot. And I don't think we'll stop learning. So it's really good to open up our minds to stuff like this. I know Word is like everybody knows Word, but I just last minute registered. Let me really see if I would learn, and I'll take my time and write out every new thing I learned. And I'm at number 15. So maybe at the end of the entire 3 day, I'll be at probably 60 or something. But thank you.
Thank you for that feedback. Any more?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Please, can I know your name?
I'm Barivari. I
Okay.
wanted to thank you for the class. Like, you calmed down to break down each and every step for us, and it was easily understandable. But I just have a question for those of us that are still in the academic, like the learning aspect, where it is like I'm seeing here that it's upper sixth edition that is available under referencing, but
Yes.
Sarah insists on seventh edition, and so is there any way we can update this list, or we have to like manually adjust it?
For now, you have to manually, because even though what I'm using now is Office 2016, in the recent past, just as far back as when did my system crash? Let me say the last 6 months ago, I was using 365, which is like the most up-to-date one.
Yeah.
And even then, it's still upper 6. So MS Word has not updated to upper 7. But I've
Okay.
used upper 6 and upper 7, and the difference is not much, I can tell
Okay.
you. So what I usually advise my students, just go online, get an upper, even when it was upper 6, I say get an upper 6 guide. Now get an upper 7 guide. You just see that it's not much, but just note once you have it there, because referencing is not an examination, right? So if you keep it by you, and then you just keep making reference to it until before you know it, you get used to it, then you no longer need to make reference to it again.
Okay, ma. Thank you so much.
Any other commenter?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
Yeah, my name is Darlene. I want to really appreciate you for this class, such an interesting class. Just that my system just crashed yesterday night, and I've been crying here. The thing has really weighed me down, but I really got a lot, especially concerning the email, the referencing, you know. I really wanted to practice it because that's what I'm using so often now because of what I do. But it's such an interesting class. Hopefully, I should be able to fix this system and follow up subsequently. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so now let me ask, would we like to get the practice exercise through the WhatsApp group and then take our time to do it and submit, or should we have it as part of this session as contained in the email? What's our take? And
Okay.
unmute yourself and talk. Yeah,
I would
go
like
ahead.
it done on the WhatsApp group if that's possible, ma.
Okay, so I'll just share the document on the WhatsApp group so that Initially I planned it for 30 minutes, but now I'm asking myself, what are we going to be doing while waiting for you to finish? So let's move that to the WhatsApp group. And then maybe since I'm still the trainer for tomorrow's Excel, I can take it within the break in Excel and give us what feedback I observed. Patience, go ahead, ma.
Okay, thank you, Ma, for the session. I'm talking about the exercise. I will also second that we have it in the WhatsApp group because some persons might be at the office. So it would be best maybe just after work, we take our time and do the exercises. But what I would also want to ask is, the thing is, some of us registered really late and we're not being added to the group. So I don't know if that could be taken into consideration so that we can have access to the exercises and work on them. Thank you.
We'll keep adding. Even I intend to leave it open. As many people are still registered, I add them and so on. So that's like we are just 29 on the call. And I know that the last batch of registration got to 70 something. When we hold trainings like this, we want maximum impact. So yeah, we'll still add you, and then I will still be resending the documents with each group of addition so that we can all get it. Okay, so everyone is saying to WhatsApp, that's taken. So that will be for the review exercise. The next item we have here is the vote of thanks. So one of you, I know you've been thanking a lot, but now it's not just me that put this together. I'm just the trainer. We had AFWEN Port Harcourt chapter, and we had SP Young Professionals Women Leadership Program that is headed by our own Blessing Uzoma. So I want one of you that feels so enlightened here to give the vote of thanks to the people that put this together. Meanwhile, don't forget to put your name on the chat box because that will serve as attendance. So vote of thanks, please.
Hello.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. So, on behalf of all the participants, for those of us that saw the flyer earlier and even those that saw it later and joined, just like one of us said initially, most of us have been working with MS Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, but we didn't even know that we had other functions that we could still use it for, just like you talked about the split. And I think somehow I just came across that recently and I'm like, okay, this issue of for maybe for those that want to maybe manually populate their table of contents, it makes it easier. I know. So sometimes most of us have not seen these things before, and your training today has really opened our eyes. Most of us have just been on the surface type, maybe just make it bold, italics, underline, and then we walk away. But with this now, we've seen that we have so much to do with MS Word, and we look forward to the other 2 days training that has to do with the PowerPoint and then the Excel. We are really, really grateful for Upwend for organizing this in collaboration with SPE, and we're really, really grateful. Yes, it's a great impact on our lives, and we look forward to the end of it and how we can also apply it to our daily work. Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome on behalf of the team. So tomorrow we'll be having the Excel training and Friday we'll be having the PowerPoint training. So we started with a prayer. We'll also end with the national prayer. So if we unmute our mics and take the prayer together. Oh, wow. Was this what I typed? I'm just realizing the error. Okay, please ignore this. Oh God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no one is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed. Amen. Thank you all so much. And I hope to get more participants tomorrow. And I hope we enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.